What is happening, guys? Happy Sunday, and one Sunday away from the start of the regular season. You are listening to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On this week's show, we're going to be giving our 2024 Dynasty Hot Takes, and I'm here with the hottest co-host in Dynasty podcasting. You know him better as the man of the hour and the man with the power, Jerry Sinclair. Buddy, how excited are you?
I was super excited for Friday night to kick off. The mean green Spartan killing machine took the gridiron and they laid an absolute egg in the most Michigan State fashion. They didn't do anything, but I'm excited because the Detroit Lions are going to save me. Fantasy football is going to save me. And I was just excited. I was watching Arizona and whoever the hell they played yesterday, New Mexico, something. Just watching football continuously yesterday was just a beautiful piece of poetry for my emotions.
I want to be honest. I did not watch a lot of college football. I watched the Notre Dame Texas A&M game. I mean, that's kind of the curse of being busy with the podcast, stuff like that. And I like college football, but I went to Ball State. Like, you went to Michigan State. You actually graduated with Jaden Reed from the Green Bay Packers. He was like, what, 10 feet away from you? Less?
1 foot. He was the person that graduated right ahead of me.
So you obviously went to a Big Ten school. I went to Ball State. And I mean, Ball State's put a handful of guys in the league, but I never really got that rah-rah, college football experience. Ball State had a couple of good NCAA basketball runs while I was in school, and actually before I got into college. But yeah, I enjoy college football. It's like we're missing the LSU-USC game tonight. That's a marquee game. I like marquee games. How about this? That's the best way for me to put it. As it relates to me with college football, I am very much a big game snob.
That's fair. I can dig that. I mean, I actually don't really care about the LSU USC game. Normally, I would have an illegal streaming site, which most of you probably know. I'm not going to say it in case.
I think they got shut down. I think I know.
Oh no. They got more servers than a little bit. That's how I watched all my football this weekend. Normally,
Jerry Sinclair, professional criminal.
Yeah, normally I would have them up somewhere on this computer, but that game just doesn't do it for me.
Well, what does it for me is that the regular season is, I was going to say it's a week away, but it's really not. We have games Thursday and Friday this week. How about that? Thursday and Friday night football. Then you get to watch, then you true college fans, you guys get to take all day Saturday and then come right back over the top and watch football all day Sunday. Now, as far as the regular season Dynasty WarZone, we're still going to be here. We're still going to be here every week. We're probably going to be moving the podcast to Thursdays. We're waiting for official confirmation from the Graham Poobah of all things podcast content at PlayerProfiler, a.k.a. Uncle Theo. We love Theo. And we're going to be doing like a new format. Nothing crazy, still good people, bad tweets, still Dynasty, probably more interaction with the live feed. Your trade questions in season, because Jerry and I do not want to be the dudes who just sit up here and go, I like Garrett Wilson. He had 2 catches for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a really good game. I think his dynasty value went up. Because if you like that, that's cool. There's plenty of that out there. But Jerry and I are not going to be those guys. So we're still going to be here next Sunday, and it's his fault, by the way. So we're going to be here next Sunday for week 1. Then week 2, it looks like we're moving to Wednesdays. 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. It's a great night.
100%, because there's no games.
Nothing.
So it's perfect.
I'm
sorry about the Sunday, but also if you've listened, you know I'm a Lions fan. I just talked about my Detroit Lions, so
Yeah,
that game is going to be streamed illegally in the corner while we are doing this podcast next Sunday. So
it's funny you said that, because I was thinking earlier, I'm like, okay, next week, next Sunday, we're still doing the show on Sunday night. I'm like, I wonder what game's on Sunday Night Football. It's like, it's got to be.
match.
I was like, it's got to be Dallas, right? Because it feels like every season the Sunday night game's Dallas versus somebody, right? And I was like, okay. And then I looked at the schedule when I sat down and was typing up the show notes, and I saw it was the Lions versus the Rams. So one of your favorite players of all time, Matthew Stafford, your favorite team, the Lions, on the one Sunday we're going to live stream during the season. I thought, this is what he deserves.
It is what I deserve.
He 100% deserves this. Well, this is normally the spot of the show where we do our commercial, and we're still going to do one. We're going to do one a little bit different. I didn't wear it last week. I'm back in the Fast Draft shirt. So what is Fast Draft? It is an app that you can download on your phone, whether you're on a Google-based device or an iPhone, and it's best ball. And the cool thing is it's the only rookie-only best ball tournament in the world. And they just surpassed 1,000 users this week. So I like Fast Draft. Jerry, what were you and I talking about before we hit the record button? What am I going to move more toward next year?
Best ball.
And it's not just because we've been sponsored all along by the folks at Underdog.
Yeah.
Underdog's a great partner to Player Profiler. I know we have a code. I don't have it memorized, but I think it's Underworld, Player Profiler. Use it. But dude, Fast Draft, someone did an entire draft in under a minute. Under a minute, Jerry.
It's a beacon for degenerates is what it is.
It's really cool. It's really well done. Everything that Player Profiler has done, from the draft kit to the app to the injury finder, the breakout finder, everything's always been done first class. And I highly recommend you check it out, especially if you want to play a little rookie best ball. It's a great chance to dip a toe. So please head over to your app store and just download the app, because some states are ran by communists and you can't play Fast Draft in every state. Doesn't mean they can stop you from downloading the app. So go download the Fast Draft app. Become one of those 1,000+ users, and let's take this thing to the next level. Is that a fair request? Because it costs $0 to download, Jerry.
Which is fair.
$0. So just go to your app store, download Fast Draft. Thank me later. So, Jerry, Good People, Bad Tweets continues to evolve. It's something we've done for probably 3 years now? People that are newer to the show, they think that Good People, Bad Tweets is a Player Profiler thing. It's actually not. We've been doing this before we became a brand ambassador podcast for, Roto Underworld. But we have a first. We have a first, Jerry. This is our first self-submission to Good People, Bad Tweets, and it's from a really good person. It's from a friend of the show, fellow content creator, Tyler Gunther. Love Tyler. Tyler is the host of the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast with Doug Eddy, and you can find that wherever you find those there podcasts. Check those out.
Handsome son of a bitch, too.
Handsome. Oh, a fine Minnesotan. By the way, is Minnesota one of the best dynasty states in America?
100%. I don't think it's challengeable. I feel like everybody I ever talk to is always from Minnesota, which is it's
think
a
Paul
far
Chartier?
superior. Scott Fish.
Is he Elkafas?
That's what I'm saying.
Dan Williamson?
There's so many freaking Gophers up there, man.
Minnesota, low-key underrated dynasty state. But anyway, Tyler, also a Minnesotan, self-submitted. And his tweet came and it said, "Now is the perfect time to send offers out for players you believe in. If it's a third-round rookie pick or a second-year guy you believe in, go get him. Don't worry about what people think if you've overpaid for them or didn't get enough. As Dynasty Rich says, an overpay today could be an underpay tomorrow." Now, I didn't get clarification as to why Tyler would think this is necessary. I think it's a pretty good tweet.
Yeah, I don't see the issue with it. I would say that's a good person with a good tweet, honestly. But I am also the person that has no issue throwing draft picks away. I'm never going to let a second or a third get in the way of a good trade. Ever. Ever, ever, ever.
First of all, as an athlete or as people who, follow athletics, there's nothing better than like positive self-talk. And if you look at a guy, and you know what? We've all seen the goofy takes. It happens. But if you truly believe in a guy, this is putting your money where your mouth is. Now, should you be out there burning down future firsts? Absolutely not. But have some conviction, have some backbone. It's like if you say, I really like, I'll give you a guy. He almost made the list for me tonight. And that's Luke McCaffrey because of the Jahan Dotson trade. He's already listed per our lads as the starter. I should probably put some conviction behind that and go out and get some more Luke McCaffrey. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting offense in Washington. But it's great that I say it. And anyone who's been in the league with me knows that I get my guys. But I think Tyler's fine here, Jerry. I don't know why he self-submitted.
No, maybe it's a humble brag. Maybe he was just he missed us. I mean, it's been a while.
It could be. Maybe he wanted to flex.
Just wanted us to talk to him. But
maybe he wanted to flex that he's
fine.
friends with Rich from the Dynasty Nerds.
But there are people in the universe that are cheap and will not do those sorts of trades. They just so I mean I see where he's coming from or why he possibly thought it, but no, I'll
allow it.
Yeah, 100%. I like what the hell do I care about a third, Randy?
It was a cheap way to put a good friend's name, out there. And if you're not following the Dynasty Happy Hour, I checked that out. I think they're competition. I think they're technically streaming right now too. So don't go right now. Stay here. Go there later. But that's my boy Tyler from the Dynasty Happy Hour. So Jerry, one of my favorite episodes of the year. It is Hot Take season. And so I've got like 3 levels. It's like you go to Buffalo Wild Wings and you like their hottest take is the blazing, their hottest sauce is the blazing. Then you have like, I don't know, wild or what. I don't really go to B-dubs. I mean, you work in a restaurant. What are some hot wing flavors?
Nashville Hot is probably the most popular right now. Everybody freaking loves Nashville Hot.
Nashville Hot sounds good. Like I like the desert dry rub at B-dubs.
See, I'm a sauce guy. Never going to be a dry rub.
I can go either way. I like the hot barbecue because if I wanted to drink gasoline, I could go out in my garage and just take me, a big swig of the gasoline jug. I like it to have some heat, but with some flavor behind it because you can go melt your face off anywhere.
True.
So that's how we're going to do this. We're going to tier these up. Now, Jerry, did you have any guys that almost made the list you just couldn't get behind? The conviction of making him one of your big 3.
No, I actually did have him originally, and then I changed it at the end. But I said it in the chat earlier. Matthew Stafford. There's just something about, I think Cooper Kupp is going to have a good season. I think Puka Nacua is a star, and I think Matthew Stafford is just one of the elite quarterbacks that's in the league. And it seems like he always has like a awesome year, pretty poopy year, really good year, pretty bad year. And he just like offsets it like that. So it just feels like the way he was sort of cooking at the end of the season and then into the playoffs. Cooper Kupp's back healthy-ish. I mean, he's old, but he's still healthy. I think Matthew Stafford has an awesome season. I don't know how many more he goes for, but woo.
Not bad, not bad. I sent you a video. I don't know if it was on Instagram or Twitter or what have you, but it was your boy Matt Stafford. I got this little patch of gray like right here on the chin. But outside of that, I'm pretty, normal facial hair color. Dude, your boy Stafford's got more gray hair than me.
Yeah, he's my age too.
That's wild.
Hey,
I mean,
I got At least I got some good genetics. Apparently, having $500 million is a very stressful time.
I
Or
mean,
being married to Kelly Stafford. That's probably the stressful thing.
he did marry a stressful one. Like a guy for me, it just felt too obvious. It felt too easy. It's Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
We were both already in on. I mean, I've been on Terry since his rookie year. We called him as a breakout. Well, you were telling everyone to draft him in the 3rd round of his rookie year, and that was one of our better hits in the history of the show. So we've always been on Terry, and it just like I was already in spite of Jahan Dotson. The Dotson truthers were still out there a little bit, but now he's gone. I didn't have enough conviction. Like I said, I do like Luke McCaffrey, and then Jonathan Taylor. If you rewind the clock a year to last year when we did this show, I said Jonathan Taylor was going to finish as the RB1 and was going to rush for 2,000 yards. And it was because of having Anthony Richardson in there as the QB, and his holdout extended well into the regular season. He was hurt, and then Anthony Richardson got hurt. But now, do I think that could still happen this year? Yes. Do I feel as much conviction about it as I did last year? No. But I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be really good. I got a couple more, and then I'll ask you for any more of yours. Will Levis goes without saying.
I almost put Will Levis on here just to spite you that he was going to finish outside of the top 36, but that would have just been a joke.
Yeah, he'd have to get hurt to finish outside the top. The top. I think he's going to be solid. And I don't think he's going to be great. I tell you what, there's going to be some quarterback talk later in the show. That's my little sneak peek for the audience. That's going to be my blazing, my hottest take is going to be about a rookie quarterback. But and then I like Jake Ferguson. I think Jake Ferguson has top 5 at the position upside. I don't know.
I almost put Jake in there too.
And I know some. And I think, and I'll ask you this: do you think Jake Ferguson is underappreciated in the Dynasty community for the most part?
For the most part, but also I don't feel like people hate him.
I think people want him to do. I think people think he's like a jag, which could be true.
Could be. It could absolutely be true.
It's such a good spot. I mean, who else is he competing for targets with besides CeeDee Lamb?
Nobody.
I think that it's a good offense. I think it was if I remember correctly, it's the number 1 offense in football last year. And outside of like some offensive line adjustments, I mean, they didn't add any wide receivers, but they didn't lose any. I guess who was the guy who retired? Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup retired or whatever.
Yeah,
he's no longer a Cowboy.
Brandon Cooks and
if you Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert. That's what I was getting ready to ask you.
I'm trying to think of his damn name.
Oh, and then Flournoy. Our boy Jason. Our boy.
You put him on and hope that he turns into somebody later. But
well, that's leading me to my question. It's like, who else in this offense would you want to take a gamble on? A good offense as the number 2 pass catcher. Your choices are like a game show: Jake Ferguson, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Ryan Flournoy. Pick your second best option.
I mean, it's going to be Jake Ferguson, especially if I'm in a tight end premium league. Then I just get that also. I think Jalen Tolbert is intriguing, but I've also thought he's been intriguing for the last like 3 years, and I am just now seeing him crack the depth chart. So maybe don't get my panties all in a twist.
That's fair. That's fair. Anyone else for you? So my 4 almost made the list were McLaurin, Jonathan Taylor, Will Levis, and Jake Turd Ferguson. Anyone else almost make your list?
No, it was tough for me to pick players. It's also just tough for me to do hot takes because I am not that type of person. Like I'm always the guy that sees both possibilities, which is not the most entertaining all the time. I'm sorry, guys, but there's not 100% certainty that anything pans out. So I like to think of it in terms of a range of outcomes.
Well,
but Matthew Stafford was one, and that was really the only guy I had. And it was actually tough for me to even come up with the 3 that I have.
For me, I'm not a hot take guy either. Like I love fantasy receipts. I think it's hilarious when
100%.
So when I put a hot take out there, I really see it as having the ability to happen. It was like last year. I don't remember my third one, but I know I nailed my biggest one. This time last year, I said that Justin Fields would fail as a quarterback. He would not progress as a passer,
And he would not be the
and
starting
he would
quarterback.
not be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. So I have to see where, I mean, and no matter how bad or crazy or outlandish these takes are, there's still always a greater than 0% chance that it happens. Could be 0.0001% chance that it happens, but it's always greater than zero. But I'd like it to be like around that 1/3 of the time. Like if like in the multiverse with Marvel. In 3 different universes, do we have the ability for this take to come true? And if I feel like it's yes, I'll put it out there.
I think that's fair. I mean, that's sort of how I viewed it too. Like what is the range of outcomes if everything hits? If everything is the perfect scenario, is this a scenario that could play out? Which is sort of what I went with.
All right. Well, let's go to your least spicy but yet spicy hot take. Who is your first?
I think Keon Coleman can crack the top 12 in wide receivers this year. He has Josh Allen. He is a touchdown maker. He has been efficient his entire time. He's been a great athlete. Who are they throwing to? I mean, it's Dalton Kincaid, and then it's just a bunch of meh. Okay, nobody blows your mind up there. So if Keon Coleman can hit, like, listen, is there a possibility that Keon Coleman sucks and all the haters are right? Sure, of course there are. But if this man is Josh Allen's number 1 wide receiver with all of the vacated targets that Stephon Diggs took his ass to Houston with, can he come up with 10 touchdowns? And if he can get 10 touchdowns and he's the number 1 wide receiver, he doesn't even need like a ton of yards for that. 1,100 yards, 9-10 touchdowns. Is that within the realm of possibilities? You're damn right it is. That puts him pretty damn close to a top 12 wide receiver.
All right, so I'm going to ask this question. It is spicy. 2-parter. Does he finish ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors? Either, neither, or both. So that's my first question.
Ahead of Neighbors.
Okay, ahead of Neighbors.
In the scenario where he's good, right? Like if he's capable of succeeding in the NFL, which is yet to be seen, with the situation and the quarterback that he is in, yes, he finishes ahead of Malik Neighbors.
But not Marvin Harrison Jr.
No.
Okay.
Because just because if Marvin Harrison is 75% of what we think, plus he has Kyler Murray, plus he plays in a dome all the time. I mean, that's just much more conducive.
In a division where you got to score because the Rams 100%. Have got a good offense. Seattle's offense should be better. Obviously, the Niners
you got to score with the Giants too, but also I just don't think they're going to be capable of it. So,
well, and then that leads me to my second question around Mr. Coleman. So the Bills last year threw the ball 579 times. So that's literally right dead in the middle. They were 16th most passing attempts last year. So my question for you is, how many of those 579 attempts does Keon Coleman need to get this done?
See, like,
how about this? Give me a range. Give me like what's realistic, and what are you basing the hot take on?
I'm mostly just basing the hot take on the fact that there's not a shitload of people there that can eat tons of targets. But like, I think he probably only ends up with 70 catches or 80 catches. Like, I don't think he's going to be this giant Malik Neighbors-esque prospect who can get you 110. I just think the Buffalo Bills are still going to be a good team, and they're still going to put up points, and they still have Josh Allen, and it has to go to somebody. And if it's somebody who's got good hands, and it's somebody who's a big body and who has a nose for the end zone, to use some more cliches, Jerry, Keon Coleman. I mean, Dalton Kincaid's going to take his. I'm not stupid, but...
Well, but that's why I went to the targets question, because would you say 100? Like, I think 161 was the record that Evan Ingram broke last year. So let's give Dalton Kincaid 1/4 of the targets. It's a 25% target share. It's huge. Is it safe to say that Keon Coleman could get 100 to 200, 100 to 120 targets in 17 games? Obviously he's got to stay healthy to do it.
100%.
Okay, I just wanted to check because I'm looking at wide receivers from last year, and what I'm thinking is that he could have, like, I don't know, I don't want to say like a Nico Collins type season.
Exactly.
Nico Collins.
He's not gonna play in the dome, and he's not gonna have tons of explosive targets like that. And it also took Nico Collins years to get to that point. I just karate chopped my microphone. If it all works out, he's the wide receiver 1 for Josh Allen. And the wide receiver 1 for Josh Allen has top 12 upside. I don't know. You can be a hateful bastard and still know that to be true.
I mean, you can look at a lot of guys. I looked at Mike Evans, who had a big year last year. Nico Collins, who had a big year last year. Both guys had around 80 catches.
Oh, we're going to talk about Nico Collins later, too.
But one guy had 13 touchdowns, and then Nico had 8, but they both finished in the top 13. So you're kind of banking it more on being a red zone option. Because if you're a defensive coordinator and you're driving to the stadium, you're worried about taking out Dalton Kincaid, which should open up Keon Coleman. And obviously, so I think if I'm reading you correctly, and I'll wrap Keon up on this one, you're banking on big plays and touchdowns.
100%.
Not necessarily volume.
Correct. But also, we have seen Keon Coleman in an offense with another NFL wide receiver, and he outperformed him at every level. And you love this player. Jaden Reed, he was in the same offense at Michigan State with Jaden Reed as a sophomore. Jaden Reed was a senior, and Keon Coleman had more catches, more yards, and more touchdowns with a poopy quarterback and a poopy offense. One of the worst offenses that you've ever had your eyeballs see, to the point that they literally fired them. And he's not coaching. Actually, he's at Wyoming, and they scored 7 points this past weekend. So he's still shit in the bed. Hi, Jay Johnson. How you doing? Go to hell, buddy. Keon Coleman, I mean, he outperformed Jaden Reed as a senior, and that guy ended up going in the second round. Keon Coleman had great draft capital, obviously. He's in a good situation. We've seen him be productive with good, productive NFL wide receivers, and he doesn't have anybody to compete with targets-wise that's comparable to Jaden Reed. I mean, okay. I'm just saying, it's not impossible.
I'm not going to full cosign, but I could see it between the big plays and the touchdowns. I don't know that the volume's going to be there to get in the top 12, but the explosive plays and scores could totally do it. Let me get into mine. And mind you, had Tyler not self-submitted for good people, bad tweets, this tweet that I saw earlier today from PlayerProfiler's own and good friend and former guest of the show, Bradley Stalder, is all of a sudden concerned that Samaje Perine's in Kansas City and it's going to impact Isaiah Pacheco. And first of all, Bradley is a sweetheart. He is a great analyst and very proud to call him a friend, a guy that I've met in Michigan when we went to the draft. But I could not give a tinker's damn about Samaje Perine. I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a top 5 running back this season. And to me, there's a lot of factors to that. First of all, last year he finished as the RB15 while missing 3 games. He missed 2 due to injury, which is always a concern with with Isaiah Pacheco. He runs like he's fighting the air. Like he looks like he's fist fighting the air as he's running the ball. And he missed 1 game due to the Chiefs having everything locked up in week 18 and they weren't going to risk it. And he averaged 15.3 PPR points a game last year. That was a better average than Bijan Robinson. It was a better average than Derrick Henry last year. And what I like is the more involvement in the passing game. Jerry, how many receptions did Isaiah Pacheco have last year?
I have no idea, Randy.
He had 44. He averaged. I would have
guessed less.
on 49 targets. And especially coming down the stretch, he was much more involved in the passing game. And the same thing I told Bradley on X was that, well, of course they were going to bring someone in. The RB2 was listed as Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's already had some injury concerns, and he's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Both are handicaps that will slow down his production. And then the third string running back is a guy named Carson Steele, an undrafted free agent rookie. Of course they were going to bring someone in. 29-year-old dusty ass Samaje Perine does not bother me. I don't know that even if this hot take becomes true and Pacheco has you know what I see when I see Pacheco, Jerry?
What do you see?
Peak Seattle Seahawks Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, stop.
Beast mode.
Stop it.
I'm not saying that quality of player.
Not even 25% of Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, sir, he is more than capable of having a Marshawn Lynch season this year. The floor is yours.
I'm fine with the take. I am a long-standing hater of Isaiah Pacheco, but I do think the hate has gone too far, and Samaje Perine does nothing for me. If Samaje Perine fell out of my pocket and into free agency, I would not pick him back up. I would let him sit on the sidewalk and I would continue walking. It's like if I dropped a dime out of my pocket and it didn't drop straight at my feet and it rolled away 2 feet, it's gone. That dime's gone. If it's a quarter, I'm picking it up. Samaje Perine isn't even a quarter. He does nothing for me. We're talking about a 29-year-old who's never done anything. Yeah, he had 50 catches last year, which is great. Awesome. You're on your 5th team in 7 years. No, is he going to exist? Yes, he'll for sure exist. But Isaiah Pacheco was never going to get 100% of everything. So what do I care about him?
You're not going to snuff him out. That's against the law.
No.
But when I said he's going to be, Pacheco has a chance to have a Marshawn Lynch season, again, I'm not saying he's Marshawn Lynch, but I'm going from 2011 through 2014, 1,212. Is that possible for Isaiah Pacheco? Absolutely, it's possible. Do I think 1,590 and 11 is a stretch? I definitely think 1,590 is a stretch. But then 1,257 and 12. 1306 and 13, I think that's in the range of outcomes for Isaiah Pacheco in this offense.
It's got to go very well.
He's got to stay very healthy.
Well. Yes.
If he stays very healthy, he will be in that 11 to 1,200 range. And I think double-digit touchdowns just kind of goes without saying. So that is my bold take. We have two more bold, hot, spicy takes each. But tomorrow, Jerry, is Labor Day. I'm sure you probably have to work.
I do.
Good for you. I don't. Good for me. But maybe do you think there are people who are still drafting their redraft leagues?
I know they are because we had a party do it today, and I think I've got another one coming in on Tuesday.
So maybe those people could use a little assist, a little help, maybe with the draft kit.
Hey, it's the Podfather. I have great news. The draft kit is live. It is world famous. Why? Because it is the best resource for winning fantasy football championships that exists. There are rankings and cheat sheets for every format you can imagine. We have projections both at the team level and the player level. And wherever you are, you can click on a player, open them up, and see in-depth written analysis about what to expect in fantasy football from that player this year. And then you can click on the team, and you can get even more in-depth analysis, all the drivers of fantasy production, both in a positive and negative direction for that team, including a signature trend. And the graphics are incredible. So these team insights, they give you the team-level projections, the vacated targets, the vacated ARs. And we added a bunch of features. Individual cheat sheets for Theo and Billy and Dario. So you can take your favorite analyst and download their personal draft cheat sheet. And then in the commissioners section, Memphis Young lays out everything you need to know to manage a league, the best minds in the industry contributing analysis. It's certainly not the most inexpensive draft kit on the market, but it is the best. PlayerProfiler.com/draft kit, PlayerProfiler.com/draft kit. Go get it.
Go get it. And I'm going to give Jamie, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correct, Parag, from the YouTube chat. And he says, I used the draft kit today for an auction league. How about that, Jerry? Maybe you got roped into an auction and maybe you need an assist. As Jamie can attest from the chat, he used it.
See, we're just company men here. And, I watched, so we've got, just to circle back around to my work, we've got we invite them in if they want to do their draft and we give them specials, whatever, blah, 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 blah. We had some guys do an auction. They were not very good at it, Randall. I'm a fantasy guy. I don't want to surprise anybody. So if I'm at work and somebody's doing an auction draft, you think I'm not going to focus on that? Oh, yeah. So I'm over there. We're bull crapping around and I'm looking at their team. You know what they could have used? The draft kit.
Most people could, Jerry. All right, let's go to hot take number 2. Who is your second hot take?
Let's go with Zach Moss, top 10 running back this year.
I saw Zach Moss because what we didn't want to do was overlap. We wanted to give you 6 total hot takes, 3 guys each. So when I saw Zach Moss, I was like, where the hell is he going with this?
Well, you don't think that's spicy? I thought that was pretty damn spicy.
I think it's plenty spicy.
Here's what I don't think. Now, I have always sort of been a Zach Moss guy. So maybe this is just me being stubborn because I like the way he runs. That dude is like a hobo fighting for a ham sandwich. He just gets after it and goes over and over and over. He gets every extra yard that he can. He's never really been given the opportunity. Jonathan Taylor for your Indianapolis Colts goes down last year. And the first 4 games, dude was awesome.
By the way, just to circle back to my earlier, Jonathan Taylor almost made it. Those 4 games were the 4 games that Anthony Richardson plays. And you see how a running back can do real well with a quarterback like Anthony Richardson in there. I apologize. Please continue on Mr. Moss.
I mean, he had like 90 yards, 120 yards, 70 yards, 165 yards. He's had catches in just about every game that he was playing. And now he is taking the spot of Joe Mixon, who is a touchdown machine, good at pass catching. He's a great running back. He's better than Zach Moss, don't get me wrong. But I just don't like Chase Brown. I don't know what world we're living in. It's like Lions fans. And I'm assuming most NFL fans are the same way. Whenever your team is struggling and you're not winning, the backup quarterback is always just the sexiest guy and the coolest guy on campus because he's the one that could save the day and he can turn it around. And that's what Chase Brown has been since he got here. We're talking about a dude that had like 180 yards rushing last year. Now, I know Joe Mixon was there, but we're talking about a dude who spent 5 years in college. And he must have played at an elite level all of those years to be such a perennial guy that fantasy people love. And he actually wasn't. He didn't do really a damn thing until his 5th year in college where he had 1,600 yards. He played at Western Michigan, didn't really do anything, transfers to Illinois, does a whole bunch of nothing for a few years, has 1,000 yards and then a 1,600-yard season. Everybody falls in love with him. Runs well. Give him credit. But we're talking about a guy going into his 25th year season, 25-year-old season, has never really done anything. And I'm supposed to expect him to take a job? No. He'll have a role. He'll exist just like Samaje Perine did. And you know how much I give a damn about that? I don't. Not at all. Zach Moss, if given the opportunity for the Cincinnati Bengals, which is going to be a good offense, can easily slip into the role of Joe Mixon and slip into that top 10, 12.
As you told me earlier that Zach Moss was your guy. I started, what are the positives? First of all, last year, in his age 28 season, Joe Mixon had over 1,000 yards and 9 rushing TDs in this offense. Also very good in the passing game, which we know Zach Moss is. And here's why I lean to Zach Moss over is it Chris Brown or Chase Brown?
Chase Brown.
Yeah, Chris Brown's a singer.
punched Rihanna.
He's a singer. Yeah, that's right. Shouldn't do that. Don't punch Rihanna
No.
or anybody really. It's just
Correct.
But anywho, the offensive coordinator from last year is gone. He's now coaching the Tennessee Titans, and the new offensive coordinator in free agency, and I think he was one of the first guys in free agency to sign a deal, signed with Cincinnati. Kind of feels like he was, told this is going to be your role. So what do I like? I like the messaging from the team and the offensive coordinator that they went out and got him in free agent. I like that. I like that this is a really good offense with really good weapons in a division where they'll have to score. And I live in the Midwest. The weather, especially toward the tail end of the season, which is when fantasy championships are won, I could see him grinding out a couple of big games, in the fantasy playoffs, weeks 14, 15, 16, and really putting some cash in some pockets. So I'm not really willing to go as high as you are on him, but I can certainly see the road to how you got there.
I just think it's the same thing with Keon Coleman. The offense is there. So if
you're chasing
if you
the
can
offense.
carve out your role, you are going to be good. And where you're being drafted now is not where that could be. So hell yeah. And also we've seen it.
Well, there's an old saying in like the finance industry, you never get fired by an IBM, right? Because IBM is safe. Nowadays, it would be more appropriate to say you don't get fired by an Apple or Amazon. But the bigger point is that you're not, and it's kind of the same way I feel about Isaiah Pacheco. Like I said, I think he runs violently, but I'm banking on the Chiefs offense. Hear what we're saying. We're talking about offenses that are good across the board. The one thing I will say,
I picked 3 players from good offenses.
And I'll be real honest with you. It's like, you said you've always been a Zach Moss guy. I've always been a Sam Darnold guy. He's not making the hot takes, but you know who is? You know who is for me? And I went back and forth because like I said, I really have to believe there's a decent shot this could happen. And I'm going Chris Olave, top 5 dynasty wide receiver. And I know that's going to be a little bit spicy. But old boy was wide receiver 16 last year while missing a game. So he had a very, very solid season. And he finished with 159 targets, which was 12th most in the league and only 7 behind Jamar Chase. So he's clearly going to be involved, right? He's going to be involved in the mix. And then this is the one that absolutely sold me as I was doing my research. I love the new OC, Clint Kubiak, by way of the Shanahan-Kubiak offense. He's been an OC for 1 year previously. Jerry, do you know when that was or what team?
What team was it?
Minnesota Vikings.
What year was it?
2021. And that was the year a very talented wide receiver named Justin Jefferson got 167 targets and 1,600 receiving yards. And he finished the season as the wide receiver 4. And he did it with Kirk Cousins, who I think is like the next tier above a guy like Derek Carr. But I will say, if something happens to Derek Carr, either he plays bad or gets injured, I don't hate what I saw in the preseason with Spencer Rattler. So I think there's a lot of positives. I'm banking on the improvement in the offense because the Pete Carmichael offense was like the missionary position of offense. I mean, it got the job done, but there's no spice there. There's nothing to get things going. It was very boring. There was no motion in that offense. Speaking of missionary, but this new offense will be much more the way the game's played. And I'm in the rest of my takes, I'm banking on the offense, right? In this case, I'm banking on the talent of the player. I think Chris Olave has the skills to be a top 5 wide receiver, and I think this year he gets it done, Jer.
I hate it. But I don't think it's spicy for everybody. I just think it's spicy for me. Just because I it's not that I don't believe in Chris Olave, it's that I don't believe in Derek Carr, and I think Spencer Rattler is not going to be in the league next year. So
Is he going to be driving an Amazon Prime truck with Samaj Ryan?
He was part of the NIL era, so at least he's got more money than me, so he'll be doing fine. You know, he'll mock me.
He doesn't know where his next ham sandwich is coming from.
No,
he's good.
Yeah, he's good. I think Chris Olave has the potential to do exactly what you're saying. I cannot rely on that situation. And I am excited for a new non-missionary offensive coordinator. I just don't know if Derek Carr can deliver it. But also, I don't think it's crazy. Just because I don't believe it doesn't mean I have been right a whole ton. And I have absolutely been wrong, so it's absolutely a possibility. As for my last guy, I am going to go
super hot. This is your hottest take.
I don't think it's super hot.
Then leave.
I think it's pretty lukewarm for us, but I think based on ADP, I think it's a little crazy. I think Tank Dell is going to finish as the top wide receiver on the Houston Texans and thus thrust him into the top probably 15 and as a dynasty asset, a top 10 wide receiver.
I don't think that's super spicy
at all.
I
told you. I didn't. I mean, for us, it's normal, but
you're the reason why they say white people think mayonnaise is spicy. You're that guy. You're the reason.
See, but that's you. I knew you wouldn't think it was crazy. I think everybody else thinks Nico Collins is the second coming of Calvin Johnson.
I do not. I think Nico Collins will continue to play the role of a DK Metcalf. But
like, I think
what do we? Good. I mean, if I was doing a half-point PPR league or I was doing a best ball league, I would rather have Nico Collins. But if I'm doing a good old-fashioned, tried and true, start your wide receivers, you set your lineup every single week, I want the guy that I think is going to get the volume. And I know Stephon Diggs has been out there, and he's looked fine. I just remember I remember the game scripts when Tank Dell and Nico Collins were both healthy. Now, to his credit, Nico Collins did exactly what T. Higgins never did.
Yeah.
I mean, if I get a chance to throw shade at T. Higgins, I'm gonna. This is what I do. But like T. Higgins, I mean, you can get cheaper 12-point per PPR game wide receivers way cheaper than a T. Higgins. Because the times that Jamar Chase has been out, Higgins has never stepped up and took the reins the way that Nico Collins did. So I certainly salute him. And I'm not saying Tank Dell's Jamar Chase.
No.
I'm just saying he's the one that I want long term. And if the Diggs situation gets off hot for Diggs, that's totally fine because he's essentially on a 1-year deal. And then he's going to go out into the free agency market next year anyway. So I don't want to break out the fire extinguisher on your last take, but I think it's more than reasonable.
I think it's reasonable, but also I wouldn't be stunned if he finished in third on this team because Nico Collins was extremely efficient. He got the bag. They brought in Stephon Diggs. He was the highest profile wide receiver free agent. So I wouldn't be shocked. I just think what we saw with Tank Dell, like, if you're excited for Malik Neighbors, I don't know how people don't like Tank Dell. Like, we saw everything that you saw at LSU from Malik Neighbors is exactly what Tank Dell was doing with tons of volume, with a better quarterback, and he plays indoors. Like, what the hell do you want? Like, there was a stretch where he had, 11 targets, for a month straight. And he was scoring tons of touchdowns. Before he got injured, he scored a touchdown in every single game his last 4 games. I mean, he played probably 10 games. I think he had 6 touchdowns. Plus, he had tons of targets. Plus, he was getting tons of yards with it. I mean, I'm sorry. Tank Dell he's not cheap, but he's also not expensive. And for where that ceiling can go, hell yes.
Well, I'm not going to beleaguer the point with more Tank Dell talk. We both like Tank Dell. Think he's a good ball player. I think this take's fine. Let me show you how a hot take's done.
Okay.
This is the point in the program where last year I said Justin Fields would not be a Bear. And the Bears do tie into this one, even though it is indirectly. And my hottest take for Dynasty for 2024 is Bo Nix finishes as the rookie QB1 for the 2024 season. And I know people are going to say, but Memphis, that's so crazy. Is it? Is it? Jerry, you were just talking about CJ Stroud last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Both he and Russell Wilson missed 2 games. Russell Wilson because he got benched because they didn't want to risk his injury, whatevers. And then I think Stroud missed 2 with a concussion. So everybody's super high on CJ Stroud this year, right? How many fantasy points separated CJ Stroud from Russell Wilson in the exact same number of games played?
You're about to tell me.
20. Barely a point a game was the difference between CJ Stroud and Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson's terrible. You know, he is the most sacked. He is the most sacked quarterback over the last 3 years with like 100. You know who's second? Justin Fields.
That's it.
He's like 99. It's awesome. It's awesome that what Pittsburgh's about to go through. But I just look at this, and then if you go back and look at when he got benched. So Russell played week 1 through week 16. At the time of his benching, he was the QB 9 on the season. And why do I like him so much more than Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels? First of all, Jaden Daniels, I feel like I'm free rolling on because he runs so much and he's so slight that he's going to, be way more susceptible to injury than the Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is going to kind of like be like that. He's just going to be like a processor back there. He's just going to be moving the ball. And I don't know. Russell Wilson did this last year. It's crazy. He, at the time of his benching, again, QB 9, he was averaging 200 yards passing a game, and he only threw 26 touchdowns. There is more than enough upside in this offense. I said it before. Speaking of Tyler Gunther, I told him that if you're looking for that next iteration of the Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, and because they play in Denver, although we saw Peyton Manning have some crazy seasons in Denver, he had like a 49 or a 50 passing touchdown year. Dude, Drew Brees, who was as vanilla and as boring as anyone ever, thrived in this Sean Payton offense. See it, throw it. You know what? Just make the throw. Don't be a hero. Take what they give you. I almost piggybacked this with the Marvin Mims hot take. I'm not going to do that to you, but that's my hottest take, Jerry. I'm going Bo Nix to finish number 1 among the rookie QBs. And I'll also add that, and to do that, he'll have to finish inside the top 10 at the quarterback position.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's spicy, buddy. I'll give you that.
Well, again, we've confirmed you're the guy who thinks mayonnaise is spicy.
Well, I don't really like mayonnaise. Like a little bit is fine, but
burns your lips. I know. I got it.
Fuck off. I don't agree, first and foremost, but every outcome is possible with the rookies. So you're not going to get a ton of guff. What I'm going to say is that I think Caleb Williams has a much better situation that is more conducive for him to be successful. And I think Jaden Daniels profiles as a prospect who can score more points. But they also could fall on their face too. What we can all agree is that J.J. McCarthy will not. We know that. Suck on that, Michigan.
J.J. McCarthy will not hurt. His play on the field this year will not be bad.
That's true. It will
because there'll be no play on the field this year.
But so here's
that was just a lowbrow way of taking a shot at Michigan. I understand.
Correct. Well, I have to because my team's terrible and I'm a little brother. It's what I got to do. I think Bo Nix is fine, and I think there is a possibility of what you are saying can occur because the thing about Caleb Williams is defenses are definitely going to focus on Caleb Williams, and they already sort of don't like him. There's not a single person that's super worried about Bo Nix, and they're not going to hype up trying to kill him. People are going to try and kill Caleb Williams. And then Jaden Daniels, he could easily get hurt. He could easily not, we're talking about a dude that played in college football for 6 years, and it took him super long to do the things that he did. And Da 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 da. And he also had Malik Neighbors help bailing him out, and that helps. It really does. So I can see where you're coming from, and I'm fine with it. I don't agree with it, but it is a hot take based on the situation of the other two guys. Now, if you'd have said Drake May, I'd have said you're fucking stupid. But
no, I like Drake May quite a bit, but I'm banking on, like I said, I'm looking at last year's top quarterbacks, and I'm looking at Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Tua. Sam Howell finished 13th last year. And to your point, and then another thing I didn't throw in there, I think Denver's got the best offensive line of all of the rookie quarterbacks too. That offensive line in Washington is a shit show. It is not a good offensive line. I think Denver's got not a great, but a good offensive line. Again, I don't see the injury the way that I do with others. I don't know. I wanted to go hot. I'm a big Bo Nix guy. I'm gonna put it out there, Jerry.
I hear you. It's fine.
Well, there are our hot takes. Now, this is, guys, for those of you that are watching along on YouTube, this is when the nonsense is going to start. So if you're not here for a few minutes of nonsense, we thank you for tuning in. Next Sunday will be our last regular season Sunday for the 2024 season. We're going to be moving to Wednesday nights on the live stream just because we want all of you guys. I can see how many hundreds of people are tuning in right now. We want you all to come back. And you're not going to come back next Sunday because you're going to be watching the Lions and the Rams, unlike me, because Jerry's got to have a job. So that's what's going on, Jerry. Anything going on with you?
Overall, nothing.
Nothing? You're kind of a boring guy.
I start my master's in like a week. I think classes.
Iowa State?
No, hell no.
Online?
The University of Edinburgh in Scotland. I am in there.
Is that a real thing? It feels like where you buy one of those titles. Like you can become like Lord Jerry Sinclair, or you can buy like a 1 foot by 1 foot parcel of land. That doesn't feel like a real college. I mean, it'd be more master's degrees than I have, but that's fine.
Well, it is also the capital of Scotland, you ignorant boob.
It still doesn't sound like a real place.
I mean, it doesn't. It should be pronounced Edinburgh, because this is America and they should pronounce it correctly, but it's Scotland, so they call it Edinburgh. So yeah, I'm doing the Ancient Worlds and Archaeology program. My first class is, it's like Egypt in the New Kingdom, like 1550 BC. Yeah, which sounds horrible.
Absolutely terrible.
It sounds horrible to the hundreds of people in this chat, and I am so goddamn excited for it.
Well, I'm excited for you. That's the best I can be. Because I mean,
listen, poor Mrs. Jerry's gonna have to hear all about ancient pharaohs and stuff, and she's gonna be bored out of her gourd. But
that's what I brought to the nonsense table. So are you a big go to the theater guy? I know you went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine, because I still enjoy, like, if the movie's right, I enjoy the theater experience.
Yeah, we're movie people. Usually, I think we've tapped out all the recent movies that we could go to. We saw that one. We saw
Deadpool,
Twisters.
Wolverine.
We saw the cartoon one where they're like emotions in your brain or whatever.
Inside Out. Yeah.
Like we usually go on Wednesdays because I usually have Wednesdays off. So.
Well, we'll be moving that.
Yeah.
Not my fault. Not my fault, Mrs.
Thursdays is date night now.
You're going to have to catch a matinee. So, so I was fired up for Deadpool and Wolverine for a long time. It's just, it's the story. It's Hugh Jackman. Ryan Reynolds is fine too. But I've got another move. Okay, we got a recommendation in the chat. We're going to bring that up in a second. I am... And it's about 2-ish months away, but I'm pretty stoked for Gladiator 2. I told my son, now I'm not sure how Denzel's New York accent is going to play in ancient Rome, but I'm very intrigued by the storyline. Have you seen the trailer and everything for Gladiator 2?
Randy, did I just tell you I'm getting a master's degree in ancient history? Yes, I've seen the fucking trailer.
All right. Well, I mean, the fact that it's that
I mean, I got
little
Julius
kid
Caesar
Lucius
right here next to me, dude. We're chilling. That's my dog. That's my dog.
So you want to, you know what? We'll all end the nonsense portion on another bold take. You ready for another bold take?
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's just based off of like a 3-minute trailer, which I think I'm going to go watch as soon as we're done here. But it's based off of a 3-minute trailer. But I think there is potential for the sequel is as good as the original, which is rare. I'm just going, it's got potential. Jamie said he's going to go watch Gladiator after this show. Hey, I
watched it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I watched it like last week. It's streaming if you have Amazon Prime, so which most of us do because football on Thursday. So yeah, go watch Gladiator. It's great. So I think there's potential there for it to be that good if the story is what I think it will be.
I think it'll be fine. I am concerned because the two villains are Caracalla and Gaeta, which are two brothers who are just you asked a historian to talk about ancient Rome. This is what's going to happen. Just some of the most brutal motherfuckers that have ever lived. Caracalla is a wild character, and if you want to go down an absolutely treacherous Wikipedia search, just do it. It's a black hole. He's wild. Anyway, if they do them well, I think it could be a very good movie. They're lacking Joaquin Phoenix, who is one of the great actors, unfortunately.
Well, he got killed in spoiler alert for a 20-year-old movie.
This is later. This is later.
Yeah.
Caracalla and Gaeta are after Commodus. But
I don't remember the guy's name. He's in everything. He's going to be Mr. Fantastic in the new Fantastic Four movie. He was in Narcos. He's in The Mandalorian. Pascal.
Double Pedro P. Pascal. He's from Game of Thrones, but you don't know that, of course. No.
I wouldn't know him from there. But there you go, Jerry. That's some nonsense. But that's the next movie I'm looking forward to. It's like quarterly, right? There's like in the third quarter it was the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. The fourth quarter is going to be Gladiator 2, and then in the first quarter of 2025 we've got Captain America: Brave New World. We got Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I mean that's you. That's you, buddy.
That's super nerdy. But speaking of super nerdy, we'll be back here doing Dynasty. I can't say that. That'd be like gimmick infringement. We'll be doing Dynasty goofy stuff next week. We'll be actually doing it during the Sunday night football game, and then starting Wednesday the 18th, we'll be moving to Wednesday nights for the live stream. Hey guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, please go check out Fast Draft. Again, go to your Google Play, go to your Apple Store, download it. It'll cost you $0. And if anything, you can do like some mocks and just try it out, and could be legal in a state near you soon. So check out Fast Draft, check out the draft kit. Jerry, anything for these beautiful people as we go into the first week of the NFL season?
No, just enjoy it, man. Even if your team's dog shit, it's not dog shit yet because it's just 1 week.
I got one thing for you. I'll leave you on this. I used to work for a guy. His name was Tim. He used to say, "Don't do dumb." And it was like, you know what's dumb, and he would just be like, "Don't do dumb." So the first season, you're gonna see the first game, the first week, you're gonna see some things, and you're gonna get excited. And one guy's gonna be a pile of trash, and one guy's gonna be the world's next great dynasty treasure.
Happens every time.
Hear Uncle Memphis's voice in the back of your mind going, "Don't do dumb. Don't do dumb." Guys, we got a new show format next week. We'll be back next week. Thank you to everybody in the chat for keeping the chat lit tonight. And that man's name is Jerry Sinclair. Follow him on Twitter at JerrySinDWZ. You can follow me at DWZ Memphis. And we'll see you next week. See you guys.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.